Do you ever wonder why some people seem to achieve incredible success while others struggle for years without progress? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's something far smaller, almost invisible: your habits. The truth is, your future is hidden in your daily routines, and tiny changes can create massive transformations. In the next 7 minutes, let's unlock the simple science of atomic habits that can completely reshape your life. If I could give you one book that has the power to completely transform your life, it would be Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book isn't about motivation or big overnight changes. It's about small, consistent actions that create extraordinary results over time. In just 7 minutes, let me break down the core lessons of Atomic Habits into 7 powerful key points. Small habits compound like interest. When we think about change, we often believe it has to be something dramatic, like running 10 miles a day, giving up all junk food overnight, or suddenly becoming a productivity machine. But James Clear explains that real, lasting change doesn't work that way. Big transformations come from small, consistent actions that compound over time, just like money in a savings account grows with compound interest. Think about it. If you improve by just 1% each day, it might not feel like much in the moment. In fact, you may not even notice the difference at first. But after a year, that tiny daily improvement makes you 37 times better than when you started. That's the power of compounding. Small changes don't add up, they multiply. For example, if you decide to read just 10 pages of a book each night, it doesn't seem like much. But in 1 year, that's 3,650 pages, roughly 15 to 20 books. Or take fitness. If you commit to doing just 10 push-ups a day, in the beginning, it feels insignificant. But after a year, you've done over 3,600 push-ups, and your strength, health, and mindset have all improved. The same is true in the negative direction. Skipping the gym today won't make you out of shape overnight. Eating one slice of pizza won't ruin your health. But repeat those small choices every day, and over time they compound into poor health, low energy, and missed opportunities. The lesson is simple. Success is not about massive action, it's about consistent action. Every small choice you make either compounds for you or against you. That's why James Clear says, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. So, instead of chasing overnight results, focus on the small, repeatable habits that slowly but surely push you forward. Over time, those tiny steps will lead to extraordinary results. Forget goals, focus on systems. Most people live their lives chasing goals. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to save $10,000. I want to get promoted. Goals give us direction, but here's the problem. Goals don't deliver results, systems do. Think about it this way. Both the winner of a gold medal and the athlete who finishes last in the race had the same goal: to win. The difference wasn't the goal. The difference was the system they followed every single day. Their training, their nutrition, their recovery, and their discipline. James Clear makes this point clear. If you want real, lasting change, stop obsessing over the outcome and start focusing on the process. A goal is just a destination, but a system is the map that takes you there. For example, instead of saying, I want to write a book, build a system where you write 500 words every morning. Instead of saying, I want to get fit, create a system where you go to the gym 3 times a week and meal prep every Sunday. Another problem with goals is that they often create an either-or mindset. You either achieve the goal and feel successful, or you fail and feel disappointed. But what happens after you reach the goal? Many people stop. Think about someone who diets hard to lose 20 pounds. The moment they hit their goal, they celebrate, relax, and often fall back into old habits. Why? Because they were chasing a finish line instead of building a lifestyle. Systems, on the other hand, are endless. A system is not about reaching one destination. It's about continuing to move forward. It shifts the focus from I must achieve this outcome to this is who I am and how I live. When you focus on systems, progress becomes automatic, sustainable, and much more rewarding. So the takeaway is this: don't just ask yourself, what goal do I want to reach? Instead ask, what system do I need to build so progress becomes inevitable? Because at the end of the day, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Identity shapes habits. Most of us try to change our habits by focusing on outcomes. We say, I want to lose weight, or I want to read more books, or I want to quit smoking. That sounds good, but here's the problem. This kind of change is surface level. James Clear explains that real, lasting change doesn't start with what you want to achieve. It starts with who you believe you are. Your identity is the root of your habits. If your identity doesn't change, your habits will eventually snap back to your old self. Think of it like this. Outcomes are the outer layer, processes are the middle layer, but identity is the core. If you want to build stronger habits, you have to start from the inside out. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people who are trying to quit smoking. If someone offers them a cigarette, the first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." The difference may sound small, but it's massive. The first person still identifies as a smoker. They're just attempting to resist. The second person has shifted their identity. They no longer see themselves as a smoker at all. Which one do you think will stick with the habit change longer? This principle applies everywhere. If you want to become healthier, stop thinking, "I need to lose weight." Instead, start saying, "I am a healthy person." If you want to read more, don't say, "I want to read 30 books this year." Say, "I am a reader." If you want to get fit, don't say, "I want to go to the gym." Say, "I am the type of person who never misses a workout." The truth is, every habit is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Each time you pick up a book, you cast a vote for being a reader. Each time you exercise, you cast a vote for being an athlete. Each time you write, you cast a vote for being a writer. Over time, these small votes accumulate and solidify into your identity. That's why identity-based habits are so powerful. When you change your identity, your behavior naturally follows. Habits become effortless because you're simply acting in alignment with who you already believe you are. So instead of asking, "What result do I want?" ask yourself, "Who do I want to become?" Because once you shift your identity, the right habits will no longer feel like a struggle. They'll feel like part of who you are. Make habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Building better habits doesn't just happen by willpower or motivation. James Clear introduces a simple but powerful framework called the 4 laws of behavior change. These laws explain exactly how to create good habits and break bad ones. Let's break them down one by one. 1. Make it obvious. Our brains rely heavily on cues. If the cue isn't clear, the habit won't happen. That's why one of the best ways to build habits is to make the cues obvious and visible. For example, if you want to start reading more, don't keep your book buried in a drawer. Place it on your pillow so you see it before bed. If you want to drink more water, keep a bottle right on your desk instead of hidden in the kitchen. The environment you live in constantly nudges your behavior, whether you notice it or not. By making cues obvious, you set yourself up for success without needing extra willpower. 2. Make it attractive. We naturally do what feels rewarding. That's why habits stick better when we make them appealing. One powerful technique is called temptation bundling, pairing something you need to do with something you enjoy. For example, only watch your favorite show while running on the treadmill, or only listen to your favorite podcast while cleaning. When you attach pleasure to a habit, you'll actually look forward to it instead of resisting it. 3. Make it easy. The easier a habit is to do, the more likely you'll stick to it. Too often, people fail because they start too big. They say, "I'll run 5 miles every morning," but after a week they burn out. James Clear suggests using the 2-minute rule. Scale your habit down so it takes less than 2 minutes. Want to start meditating? Just sit and breathe for 2 minutes. Want to start journaling? Write 1 sentence. Once the habit is easy to start, you'll naturally build momentum and grow it over time. 4. Make it satisfying. Humans repeat behaviors that feel rewarding. If there's no immediate payoff, habits don't stick. That's why you should find ways to make good habits satisfying. For example, if you're trying to save money, transfer cash into a savings account and immediately track your progress in a visible chart. Watching your progress grow feels good, and that satisfaction reinforces the behavior. On the flip side, if you want to quit a bad habit, make it unsatisfying, like having an accountability partner who checks on you, so breaking your promise feels disappointing. Together, these 4 laws form a system. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. When you apply them, building habits becomes less about discipline and more about design. You don't need to fight your nature. You need to shape your environment and your behavior so the habits you want become natural and automatic. Remember this, success isn't about doing one big thing perfectly. It's about making the right thing easy and repeatable. And these 4 laws are the blueprint. Environment matters more than motivation. We often tell ourselves that success is about willpower. If only we had stronger discipline, we'd wake up earlier, eat healthier, or stop procrastinating. But James Clear makes a powerful point in Atomic Habits. Your environment often shapes your behavior more than your motivation ever will. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthy but your kitchen is filled with chips, cookies, and soda, no amount of willpower will stop you forever. Eventually, you'll give in. But if your fridge is stocked with fruits, vegetables, and clean meals, making the healthy choice becomes effortless. It's the only option available. In other words, the environment nudges your behavior in the right direction without requiring constant self-control. This principle explains why some habits are easier to maintain in certain places. For example, people often find it easier to study in a library than at home. Why? Because the environment of a library is designed for focus, while the environment at home is filled with distractions like TV, phones, and snacks. Your environment sends you cues all the time. If your phone is sitting on your desk, you'll check it. If your running shoes are by the door, you're more likely to go for a run. The key is to design your environment so that the good habits are obvious and the bad habits are invisible. Here are some practical ways to do it. Want to practice guitar more? Keep it on a stand in your living room instead of in the closet. Want to drink more water? Place a glass of water on your desk every morning. Want to cut back on social media? Delete apps from your home screen so they're harder to access. Want to focus better at work? Clear your workspace of clutter and distractions. By making small tweaks to your surroundings, you reduce the need for willpower. Because here's the truth. Willpower is temporary, but environment is permanent. You can't rely on motivation to carry you every day. It rises and falls. But when your environment is designed for success, good habits happen almost automatically. As James Clear says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your environment is one of the most powerful systems you can build. So instead of trying to fight against your environment, redesign it. Make the good habits the easiest option, and make the bad habits harder to access. When you do that, you won't need to force yourself. You'll simply flow in the right direction. Break bad habits by making them invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Just as James Clear explains how to build good habits using the 4 laws of behavior change, he also shows us how to break bad ones by flipping those same laws upside down. If you want to stop a bad habit, you must design your life so that the habit becomes nearly impossible to maintain. Let's look at each one. 1. Make it invisible. Out of sight, out of mind. A huge reason we fall into bad habits is because the cues are right in front of us. If junk food is on the kitchen counter, you'll eat it. If cigarettes are lying around, you'll smoke. If your phone is buzzing on the desk, you'll scroll. The solution? Remove the cues. Hide the junk food in the back of the pantry. Leave your phone in another room while working, unsubscribe from tempting emails. By making the bad habit invisible, you cut off the trigger before it even starts. 2. Make it unattractive. Habits thrive on the stories we tell ourselves. If you think smoking makes you look cool or scrolling endlessly is relaxing, you'll keep doing it. To break a bad habit, you need to reframe it so it feels unattractive. For example, instead of thinking, a cigarette calms me down, remind yourself, this cigarette is damaging my lungs, making me weaker and shortening my life. Or instead of saying, scrolling social media is fun, think, this is stealing my time and making me less productive. When you shift the way you view the habit, it loses its appeal. 3. Make it difficult. The easier something is, the more likely you'll do it. That's why bad habits often survive. They're convenient. To break them, add friction. Want to spend less time on your phone? Delete social media apps so you have to log in through the browser. It adds extra steps. Want to stop eating junk? Don't buy it in the first place. Want to quit smoking? Don't carry cigarettes with you. By making the bad habit harder to access, you create natural barriers that discourage the behavior. 4. Make it unsatisfying. At the core of every habit is a reward. It gives us pleasure, even if it's short-term. To break a bad habit, you need to remove the satisfaction or add a layer of accountability that makes it painful to continue. For example, you could set up an accountability partner. If you smoke, you owe them $50. Or use habit tracking apps that remind you when you slip. When the bad habit becomes unsatisfying, whether through guilt, accountability, or lack of reward, you'll naturally resist it. When you combine these 4 strategies, make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying, you don't have to fight bad habits with sheer willpower. Instead, you dismantle them at the root. You take away the cue, the craving, the convenience, and the reward. Over time, the habit starves and dies. Remember, habits, good or bad, are shaped by design, not desire. You don't need to be strong enough to quit a bad habit forever. You just need to make the path toward that habit so unappealing and inconvenient that your brain naturally chooses a better option. Success is the result of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. We often look at successful people and think they got there through a breakthrough moment, a big win, a bold decision, or a stroke of luck. But James Clear reminds us of a deeper truth. Success is not the result of one-time events, but the accumulation of daily habits repeated over and over again. Think about it. Olympic athletes don't become champions because of one amazing race. They become champions because they trained every single day for years. Writers don't produce best-selling books because of one burst of inspiration. They sit down and write consistently, often producing countless drafts before a masterpiece emerges. Entrepreneurs don't build million-dollar businesses overnight. They build systems, routines, and habits that compound into success over time. This is why focusing on small, consistent habits is more powerful than chasing one dramatic transformation. A single effort might give you temporary results, but it's your daily behaviors that shape your identity and future. Take the example of health. You won't get fit from working out once for 3 hours, but you will transform your body if you work out for 30 minutes every day. You won't ruin your health from eating one unhealthy meal, but eating poorly every day compounds into disease. It's never about what you do once, it's about what you do repeatedly. James Clear calls this the power of consistency over intensity. Big, intense actions might feel exciting, but it's the small, consistent ones that truly move the needle. The greatest success stories are not built in moments, they are built in routines. And this is why habits are so powerful. They allow you to put success on autopilot. When you develop habits that align with your goals, you don't need constant motivation or discipline. Your habits carry you forward. Over time, these small, daily actions stack up until the results look extraordinary to the outside world. The takeaway is simple. Stop waiting for a breakthrough moment. Stop believing success will come from a single event. Instead, focus on what you do every single day. Because in the end, your life is not shaped by what you do once. It's shaped by what you do consistently. As James Clear beautifully puts it, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are nothing more than your daily habits.